City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded July 14, 2025.
All right, so after the roll call, the next item of business is approval of the minutes. And I think we have one from last meeting, which would be May, right?
May.
Yeah.
Yep. Any changes or additions?
Oh,
Motion to approve is in order.
I'll move approval.
Second?
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, so we have two sets of claims for this meeting. One for the month of June and one for the month of May, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the water department first.
Yeah. So on 60100, it says USA Blue Book, and then it says padlock. I don't know.
USA Blue Book is like it's a giant catalog. We order all sorts of random stuff for.
Okay.
So it's literally just a padlock from
Okay, gotcha.
utility.
And then the next
Sears
one,
catalog.
101,
Mhm.
asbestos, it says rugs, and then I see, well, on all of these, I think, then it's repeated again at 147.
Yeah, so they changed their name recently. It's all the area rugs throughout the different buildings that they come get, they take, they put new ones down. We've been doing that, well, it was Aramark in the past.
They invoice us weekly for those. It's not like a monthly bill, it's a weekly. So every Monday when they're here, they invoice us the end of the week.
I know, I don't recall seeing it like that, so I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why do we have so much? Are we buying a lot of rugs?
Yeah, it's just the service, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on water department claims for the 2 months? All right, then let's go on to sewage.
I didn't have any questions.
Any questions?
No.
All right. Next department. Get my fingers to work here. Is stormwater.
I don't have anything.
Okay. And then the last one is fiber.
No.
Good. All right, so then we need a motion and a second to approve all 4 sets of claims with 2 months in.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried. Next is the audit presentation and approval.
Yeah, so Jody Dobson's here from Baker Tilly to give that. The materials in both packets are the same. She's going to go through utility stuff in this meeting, and then when we get to airport, she will do that when it's well. Jody, did you want me to put up the summary as you talk, or did you have something you wanted to share?
No, I think if you put these up, that'll probably be the easiest.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So, well, thank you for having me virtually with you today. So highlights here of the audit process is we start by working through with management, what do we know from the past and anything that might have changed in processes, people, systems, new transactions, etc. This allows us to identify where the risks might be and design how we want to audit each transaction cycle or type of balance. We do that in our planning phase, and then we come in the spring to complete the testing and look at the actual final year-end 2024 numbers. I want to always remind everyone that all of the information in the financial statements comes from your records and management, and our responsibility really is to provide the audit opinion based on our testing. We do assist with the preparation of the financial statement document, however, and so you should just be aware that that's not available
Biden
until.
sent a long message. If you want to hear it.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So as we go through the process, again, we're focusing on the key transactions and cycles. So general disbursements, payroll, billing and receivables, a lot of time with capital assets because that's where a lot of the funds of the utility are focused as well on the debt. As we kind of can get into the numbers here, the financial statements did receive what we call an unmodified or a clean opinion. So that's consistent with prior years and the highest level of assurance that we can give. So first here we have the water utility. We can see by the two lines in the graph there that the operating revenues continue to be in excess of the operating expenses, but that margin decreased a little bit in 2024. And as we look at the numbers above that table, the actual rate of return for 2024 was only at 1.7 compared to the 4.9 that's authorized. So really what that means is that, while operating revenues still are more than operating expenses, you continue to reinvest in your system and you're not earning the full return to recover those costs along with all of the operating expense increases. So I know management's actually working with us right now to start the process of looking at water rates and see where that falls within the PSA process. At the same time, if we look at the couple benchmarks that are below the table here, the water utility continues to have adequate cash reserves on hand at about 9 months worth of operations at year end. So down a little bit from the prior year, but in the same range that it's been. And you're also continuing to meet your debt coverage requirement without being close on that. So still in good position, but it's kind of that seeing the trend of increasing investment in capital and increasing operating costs, wanting to make sure that you stay pace with that and not get behind it. And as we look at that bottom bar, only 22% of the existing infrastructure is financed with outstanding debt. So that's well below the benchmark that we look at of a 50-50 split. So in a good position there. The next page looks at similar information for the sewer utility. So we can see here, again, revenues outpacing expenses, and expenses decreased a little bit from 2023 to 2024, allowing for a little bit more income there, which likely impacts that first number below the table of we see the increase in cash reserves up to a little over 7.5 months of operation. So again, a very strong position to have there. The GFOA would recommend a minimum of 3 months worth of cash on hand, and then think about capital beyond that. And also here, consistently over the last 5 years, exceeding that debt coverage requirement. The sewer utility does have a little bit more of its infrastructure financed with outstanding debt at the 40%, but not uncommon when you've done some major upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant like you've had. And then we have the stormwater utility. Again, similar information here is revenues. Consistently, we see that margin line for the last 5 years is had 2022 was a little closer, but otherwise looks very consistent with positive results. Also maintaining some strong cash balances. I think if we scroll down a little bit, this one, it was spent down a bit in 2024 with some investments in capital, but that's fairly common here when we have minimal debt outstanding if you're planning for those capital things that aren't significant or aren't consistent every year. So you had the buildup of cash for a couple of years and then draw it down. And again, meeting our debt coverage requirement and a very reasonable amount of debt outstanding. And I will apologize, Joel, that I don't remember which order the rest of these pages are in for you. So if you want to jump to the one you want next.
We'll just do fiber for the
fiber.
last
There
one
we
here.
go. So the fiber, that graph does look a little awkward because it's still a relatively new utility and has kind of been building up cash reserves. You've kind of been feeling out where the standard operations are going to go, but we can see the last 2 years Revenues have exceeded expenses. You've built up a nice cash reserve here, which is really important when you don't have any debt outstanding. If you're trying to maintain that and fund capital with that cash on hand to be able to have that. So overall, I think the utilities are in a good position. The water utility has seen some of those trending changes, and you're looking at that right now. So all in all, very positive results.
Is there a reason that you didn't, speak to the transit, page?
Yeah, they'll be at their own commission tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
And we'll do airport.
That's all right.
Good report as usual, Jody. Could you give me a guesstimate as to what the minimum should be for, unrestricted reserves under the stormwater, section? That dropped from 11% to 3.66. I know you explained that it's not unusual based on the
Yeah.
activity we had, but
I
So
think that
3
would have been a
months-
lot better, except for the fact that our 2023 capital, went over a year. That's why I think, or maybe it was the 22, but anyway, some projects in the city as a whole didn't get completed in the calendar year they were scheduled in, so our
I remember that, and they were pretty large ones too.
Yeah, and so it kind of makes that line look weird. I think if it had all been accounted for in the year that it was intended, that'd be a little flatter, but the months on hand, Jody, we're aiming to not go under 3, right?
Right. 3 would be the minimum. And so you're still at 3.5. So
Okay, good.
in a good position there.
All right. Do you want us to wait to approve well, I suppose we have to approve them at each meeting, right?
Yeah.
So the motion and a second in
Can I
order to approve the audits for all 4.
Can I ask a question before we move
Sure.
on?
Yep.
In the reporting, what is it called? Reporting and insights? There's something about the internal control matters. I just wondered if you could hit on that?
Sure. I'm just going to jump to that page so I have it in front of me. So the two, it's on page 6. So the 2 items that are reported there are probably consistent with the last several years worth of reports. Ideally, the standards would say that number 1, you should have staff in place so that no one person is doing 2 steps in a process. The reality is for most governments, they just don't have the size staff available to do that. So, you've done the best you can with that. And so we do report just that there isn't complete segregation of duties, which makes the reviews that this group does of disbursements or contracts, et cetera, that much more important. And then the second one relates to the preparation of the year-end financial statements. Again, the standards would say that those should be completely prepared and reviewed by management when we walk in the door. And the reality is a lot of organizations just don't have the staff to be able to devote the time to that once a year activity. So we are engaged to assist with that, and we just need to make you aware.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion and a second, please? Correct?
I don't think so yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Same sign. Motion carried. On to water supply and distribution.
Yeah, Eric's not with us today, but if there's anything within his usual reports you have questions on, we'd be happy to answer or field those. They have very similar trends were up from last year. I guess is
Nothing out of the ordinary, you're saying?
no, we're maintaining our efforts on all the fronts. We're engineering still continues with the treatment plant upgrades at former well 4 and the planning to construct the well house around the new well 12 and all of the connection between them. That involves some work at well 11 to prepare to move 2 generators and some work out between wells 7 and 8 for one of those generators to move to and the other to well 12. So all that's still in the works, but these reports look really good.
Any questions? Not a motion to approve the water supply and distribution report is in order.
We don't need a motion now.
Don't need
Need
one?
a motion?
Okay. On to, the new mowing equipment purchase.
Yeah, just a short memo in there. Like I mentioned in here, one of our mowers is getting to 20+ years. I don't know that we even know how old it is. It's unlike the others, let's just say that.
It was old when I started.
Yeah, and I'm
Started.
so we're just looking, it wasn't on the capital because it's one of those things where we didn't want to replace it till we needed to, but it's starting to see a lot more maintenance needs and stuff like that, so we should add it there. To go with something similar to what we have in the other 2, which is a pretty robust unit, 60-inch cut, it's a diesel engine, kind of an industrial type machine, Kubota like the others. We know we can get into that for $24,000 or under. So it may be less if we get a trade on that old one or something like that, but we know that we can do it for that. So just looking for that permission.
Is it likely we'll be able to purchase it locally?
Yes, actually, that's pretty local. Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And is this split between?
I think on these, we typically do split them, even though they're kind of distributed, because they're on here. This one gets used for everything here, which is all the utilities. This one will probably be a little more parked at a well, but they're available to be put on a trailer and do offsite stuff. So I think that's our routine, is to split them. Does that sound right? Yeah, okay.
Motion to approve is in order.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Sewage treatment operations, again, there's, reports for Q1 in June. Chris, any comments?
All right, I got a few this week. May and June, we did meet all of our permit requirements. As of July 1st, we did receive our new, WPDES permit, so that's the permit from the DNR for operations. There aren't any major changes, but there's a pretty large increase in lab analysis for the next 5 years. More ammonia sampling, but the big cost-wise one is gonna end up being PFAS. So I'm currently shopping that around to see how much that's actually gonna cost and what it's gonna be. But there is a substantial amount of sampling, bi-monthly for liquids and annually for solids. So you'll see some extra sampling costs coming down the pipe in the near future. So that's about it on the new permit changes. June 8th, we had a hose break on the transport system for the silo for our biosolids. We lost about 4 cubic yards of solids onto the asphalt. Normally that wouldn't be a big deal because we could get it cleaned up. Unfortunately, it was raining and we got about a half-inch of rain. The filtrate or the water as it seeped through that pile would have ended up going to this, the storm drain. And that ended up causing what would be considered a spill. So it was reported to the DNR. Everything was cleaned up, taken care of as directed by myself and the DNR to make sure that everything was taken care of and cleaned up. One thing we missed, we did not get a public notification out. We didn't realize we had to notify the public. So we did end up getting a notice of non-compliance for it. We have since posted it, and you can see it on our website here, that we did post it now. So we are now back in compliance for that. We're also working on looking at making that area a containment area. So if something does happen like this again, that the rainwater would end up going to the head of the wastewater plant rather than to the storm drain.
That's a good idea.
That makes sense.
So that's in the works right now, but obviously that involves a lot of engineering and construction. So we can't snap our fingers and make that happen. For the time being, what we were going to be doing is putting in a kind of a cover onto that manhole, onto that storm drain to hold the water there. and then we can release the water as we feel ready to. That way, we don't have another spill that we'll have reportable. So that's kind of what we're doing right now to contain it until we get a containment system installed.
Question for you.
Yep.
4 cubic yards just doesn't seem like that big
It's not.
a deal to me.
Anything that is discharged outside of what our permit states where it can be discharged is considered a spill.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
No, it is not a large volume, and even running water through it, it wasn't a large spill on any radar.
No.
But it's still something that needs to be reported
Okay.
and handled properly. Then we'll fast forward to this month. Last Thursday, we actually had a fire in our biosolids dryer. So fire department was here, helped us handle that. They did a phenomenal job. They're very professional, very good at what they do. I was very impressed. Not a large fire. It was just a small fire, but still a fire nonetheless. So right now our biosolids dryer is down while we are figuring out what happened. So in the meantime, we'll be sending our biosolids to the landfill. About 1 truckload a day is about what we're gonna make for right now. We can do this for quite a while before we have to worry about space limitations. So that's just a heads up as to that's coming down the pipe. I have no idea how much it's gonna cost, and I have no idea what we're gonna have to do. Right now, we're working on cleaning out the dryer and getting it so somebody can get in there and actually inspect it.
Sure.
That's what I know, and I think that's more than enough for today.
Any other questions? Okay, on to the unspent wages on contracted services.
Yeah, thanks. So this has come up a couple times in the past, and I wrote a little memo here, but I guess in the end, what we've asked to do a few times on specific cases is when we lose staff, and especially, you know, that's going to be specific to a certain role in the department that's now getting done with less intensity, right? And the last time we brought this forward was when we lost GIS staff, because that's a single individual in this department, and we're just like pretty much without anything at that point. But we're 2 down, technically 3 down right now in the utilities, and needing to use some contracted services to keep up on some things that do get reported, like catch basin cleaning and that kind of thing. So I thought what I'd do is bring forward the idea that when we are short of staff, that is short of the approved number of staff, that we'd be able to use the difference in wages and benefits that we'd be paying to that person, that position, if it were staffed, on contracted services to help us keep up. Because if we know that approval's there, we can get going right away with saying, hey, we're gonna fall behind on this, or we're gonna fall behind on that, or we could use this help, or we could use that help. And if we had somebody in there, you know, if we're keeping it at or below, the idea is that we'll keep it at or below the money we would have spent on staff. And if we can't, then we'll come forward. But if we can keep it at the wage and benefit level, then we can just immediately start using some contracted services, because the cycle of this meeting and then get into council and get it all approved could be as much as like 5 weeks, right? Like if it happened yesterday or Friday, it'd be a month later plus a week for council. So just hoping we could kind of get that out there, because it really helps us not get too far behind on anything. And in the case where it's a highly technical thing, like with the GIS, we have in place relationships already where we can just say, hey, we have contract dollars not to exceed this. Here's what we want you to do for us in this time, and not get behind and wait the month plus to start those. And in a lot of cases, we can start them in a small way. You know, there's a spending authority at the department level that's been established. But I just wanted to throw this out there to see if you guys would be okay with that, because it's certainly the way it would be handled if we could. It's ideal.
Joel, I know it's gonna vary from year to year in number of vacancies and other factors, but in an average year, what would you guess that the dollar amount would be?
So the 2 that are down were kind of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but kind of short-lived. probably one's gonna end up being 3 months, the other 2 months, something like that, total time. So if you look at that, on average, we probably wouldn't exceed 6 months of an FTE most of the time. And I mean, in real round numbers, a person entering the department, so at the first step of the grade of, you know, they're probably like $100,000 a year employee cost, you know, so. I mean, it really depends year to year and what kind of
Well, of course.
services we need, but yeah, call it $50,000, but again, within the wage and benefits.
Well, I was trying to figure out whether it was gonna be 50 or 500, so.
Yeah, more like
That's
50,
the answer.
yep.
And it's temporary, so you're searching for people,
hmm
so it's a short-term.
Yeah, and we have 2 offers out right now. Yeah, so even right now, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
But there are times when, you know, we're able to use help really quick when we know, but, you know, like I said, getting it on the agenda, getting approved, waiting for council, and then doing that, the kind of lag makes it less helpful. But if we have an understanding that that's how we're gonna use it, is just to say, only to spend the unspent wages because of a vacancy before getting approved. Because if we do something, you know, we're fully staffed and we need a contract for some, we're coming to you guys for that. But this is just kind of a stopgap.
yeah.
Ray, did you have a question?
Yeah, I've got a question about, what we'd be paying a contracted individual versus, one of our,
So we're not really looking at wage for wage. You know, we did bring this forward for the GIS contract. That was an hourly amount through a consultant. And there's a lot of, I mean, those can vary. I don't think probably anybody in the consulting realm charges under $100 an hour right now, you know?
Okay.
But that was for those GIS services.
Yeah.
On the construction and maintenance side of thing, it's more of a per job type thing. So if we could say, hey, we're not getting this done, what would it cost to get this done for us? It's kind of a piece of work type thing, not what are they paying their guys or gals, you know, it's just.
this is what we pay ours.
Yeah, so I'm not really looking at it in an hourly perspective, just a matter of how do we get the work done that we're not getting done.
And it's work that has to be done. It's not, well, obviously, all of our work is essential. It's not work that can be put off a month or.
I mean, if it can, we're probably not gonna utilize this, right?
It wouldn't be worth doing.
Yeah, but for example, we're down 2 and those 2 are on a crew that would normally get involved a lot in the maintenance of our stormwater collection system. We have an audit coming up in September. We're behind on catch basin cleaning. I know exactly who we can use for that. And we started doing a little bit of that, but not to the degree that we bring forward a whole contract. So this would help clarify that. We talked about GIS. Another potential is inspection. We have 3 inspectors now, you know, and they are fully utilized in construction right now. They might be overutilized in construction right now. We lose one of them, we're gonna have to immediately hire contracted services to inspect, because we can't not do that. And that'll have to be, like, we'll have, you know, probably a superintendent out on site until we can get somebody in there, because and if we can't spread the other 2 that thin, right? So it's that kind of stuff, where it's just really about how quick we can respond. That's the biggest need.
Joel, I understand, if I'm understanding you correctly, you'd like us to approve this on an ongoing basis, not just for this year.
Yeah, if possible. And if it's a type of thing that you want to look at it annually, to be reminded of the fact that it's out there, I'm happy to put it on the July agenda, just to reauthorize it.
I don't find that to be necessary, but the rest of the commission.
I don't either.
Okay. But you need a motion and to approve the plan.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Sewer service area planning document.
Yeah, boy, so this goes back a while, in history, quite a while, but most recent effort, all of the sewers, the urban area folks around Stevens Point, so that's Point, Clover, Whiting, I believe Stockton, Hull, and Linwood. apologies if I'm leaving anybody out, got together to redo this document that has to be looked at, like, say, every 20 years or something. We were overdue. This area was overdue, and it establishes essentially a big polygon around your community in which you're authorized to serve sanitary sewer to. It well exceeds the boundaries of the city, or Clover, or Whiting, and it's there because it's required by the DNR to put it there. As of this fall, we're required to have a similar document for water, and I will tell you that I don't know how to just say it without sounding a little bit, I don't know. We don't use this document. Yes, is what I'm going to tell you. Yeah. There is a number of things that could happen that would make this immediately invalid, and there are several things we look at that make us more aware of our sewer service area ability than this document. So it's required to have out there. Thanks to the North Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission for doing it for us. But I guess my point is that there isn't a ton of operational reliance on this plan because of other factors. Like, if we never gave any consideration to who we serve, where we serve, how we serve, this would probably have a function. But every time a new development comes in and says, hey, could we build here? Can you handle us? You know, sit down and talk to Chris, and we talk about the loadings, the volume, the strength, and all that, and that's our iterative process to say yes or no. And that yes or no has very little to do with geography. It has more to do with capacity. And this plan does talk about capacity, but again, we don't lean on it. So I do need to contact the county every time we do a sewer main extension, because by way of this plan, they have the authority to approve that or deny it. I understand they'd never deny it if it's commensurate with this plan, which is what it always is. So it's a quick email and I get a thing back with a signature on it, says go ahead. So that's what this is.
And this is the map that we're like approving essentially?
Well, so as I said, there's a 117-page document that I didn't want to link. And our sewer service area plan is that's just all of the communities involved in it. Okay. Ours goes well outside the city, Stevens Point. I can pull it up here if you'd like. In fact, it's got its own link, stevenspoint.com/SSA. And you'll crash the internet pulling it up. And there it is. I can give you, probably at the end is where all of the maps are. Showing my hand by not knowing. I mean, we went through it all, but land use, village boundary, future land use. It's a very map-intensive document. Future land use. Out at which ones are map, but Stevens. So, you know, we get into mapping our mains. So this is actually east out here. This is out into the East Park Commerce Center. We get into some plover stuff, and then you start seeing what are these? These are the added and removed areas, I think. Oh, that's Whiting's map. Okay, here we go. So you can see this,
I guess, so, yeah, it probably is the purple where they extended the boundary.
yeah, and everything.
And the red is where it used to be or something?
To some degree, I think that the,
I'm just wondering if it changed, if the boundaries actually changed.
It did change a little. You can see that, you see this area here?
Yeah.
I believe we gave up this area to add to maybe up in here or something. It changed very little. And the point is, like, there's this balancing of acres that goes on. And, you know, you can see there's a little here that was changed too. They cut back here that used to go here to probably add down in here. We have so much area beyond our current service area. For reference, this right here is EM Cops. That's the road that is to the south side of Lineage Logistics, Service Cold Storage, whatever it's big cold warehouse right now. And our sewer service area is all the way out to here, right? So there's a ton here, and all we really did was talk about kind of trading space and being like, okay, well, if this goes here, then you have that many acres to put over here. All we're trying to do is guess where the development will be such that it's inside this map, so we don't have to modify this map before it gets revisited again in 20 years. That's really the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed the resolution has to be approved by the city council, the mayor and the clerk. So we don't have to approve the resolution, do we?
Yeah, I'd like to get action that recommends approval of it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. This right here. Yeah.
further questions?
Just a kind of philosophical question. As familiar as you are with other communities, is there a place where this process would fit better that you can relate to? Like,
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that the document serves a far more practical purpose where you have talk like the southeast part of the state, right? Where there's municipalities that are really, really densely populated right up against each other, and they use another municipality's treatment ability, capacity, as some communities buy bulk water from their neighboring communities. Some communities get their wastewater treated by neighboring communities. This definitely has more application and more.
for something like that?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yep. And the
So-
water one will too, so I'll have an equally as strong liking of the water one.
I think we need a motion and a second to recommend approval of the sewer service area planning document and resolution.
I'll move that recommendation.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor signify by sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All same sign. Motion carried. Jane, construction and maintenance report?
Sure. Really, everything has been, pretty much business as usual for the most part. Last couple of months, we've had a handful of leaks that have needed repair, a couple of them on Church Street again. But really, the crews have been busy with that, and working on the Dance Drive swelling project, and staying ahead of, other construction jobs, repairing, catch basins and manholes and, all that maintenance type of items. So really nothing to add to the report.
We'll just add that the projects that we have going on, one contract actually had 3 or 4 crews going consecutively last week, and so they're really kind of making a big effort there, and it's keeping people busy, so that's good.
I don't think it has anything to do with you all, but what's going on just north of the rail on like Madison and,
Yeah, that's us.
oh, that is you.
That's I guess the South Side reconstruction project this year.
Closed and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing a right-of-way to right-of-way reconstruction of Madison,
Monroe.
and then some cross streets in that. So new sewer, water storm, curb gutter, sidewalk.
I know, because I've seen telephone poles and all sorts.
Oh, yeah. So when we announce those projects, WPS makes plans quick to get in there and redo all their stuff first, so that all our restoration is, so they don't have to do restoration.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Usually they really blow it up before we get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that have relation to the Michigan underpass?
No, that's gonna be a separate project. Yeah, and that's upcoming. We're still doing some design on that with the city as a kind of a dual effort there, because the roadway is degraded, obviously, but the main reason for that is the lack of function of the under drains with the stormwater system that is there to take the water out, because groundwater, if just left to be groundwater, would be flooding that underpass. And so we have some infrastructure and we have some roadway and we have some design, so that could very well be a 26 effort. Yeah.
By the way, Shane, I do like these reports. They're brief and descriptive, succinct. Good job.
Noted, thank you.
Okay, on to the director's report. Joel?
Yeah, a couple things. As Jody mentioned earlier, we're working on the rate study for sewer and water. We'll absolutely have something back to you when that's done. The water portion involves a public hearing, which is generally held as a telephonic public hearing with the Public Service Commission present. And we'll suggest stormwater rate adjustments at the same time as we come to you for the others. Our annual consumer confidence report is out there. And just like this other thing, it's got its own link, as you will recall. If you go to stevenspoint.com/CCR for consumer confidence report. Nice. I got to spell it right.
Oh, yeah.
There, that was great. There it is. We did take a little bit of the editorial type stuff out of here that talked about future years projects and everything like that, because the Public Works Department is developing and has developed and keeps up to date a very good construction website as to what's happening, what's going to happen. In addition to the fact that these are going to start to be required every 6 months. Right now it's annually, but because of a lot of things related to the loan and grant dollars that really stepped up kind of post-COVID, one of the requirements they put in there was biannual consumer confidence reports. I'm not exactly sure why, but I believe that the first time we're going to have to do that twice annually is in calendar year 26. So I don't know if that means that January 1 is the date or December 31st. So I may be doing this in 6 months again, or in 12 months and then 6 months. We'll see, but that's out there.
So with that being required more often, will that require sampling more often?
No, I don't. Well, the report won't require it, but our annual monitoring schedule may change independent of that. And when you get down to these things, all of these, you'll see that sometimes the date is blank, and that's if it's prior to 2024. So if they change our sampling requirements, the system that generates these results automatically throws them in here. So it may be that we're delivering results a little more often, but that really depends on the testing and monitoring schedule. And most recently, you'll see like we have the PFAS stuff in here. And so that that's on there. There's all sorts of things in here as it relates to water quality. And I think that may very well be the reason they increased the frequency of it. But also there's the UCMR stuff out there, which happens every 3 years, the unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. So as those come out, then they'll just be in front of people more as well. But the rest of this is all boilerplate, the definitions of the words and what they mean and everything else. Yeah. We had our lead and copper inventory filed with the DNR, which just says, here's our service line and what it's made of. Here's the private side of the service line and what it's made of. We have 161 of those out of over 7,000 that we don't have record on because we actually never kept record of the private side because it's private side. Nonetheless, we still had record of a lot of private side stuff. We just didn't need to keep it.
Right.
So we're putting out to mail right now required EPA information that says, we don't know what your service line is. Could you call us, schedule an appointment so we can take a look and take record of it? Then it won't be unknown. So if you hear about that at all, less than 2%, so you probably shouldn't. And then I talked just prior, if it's possible, I'm going to talk to the homeowner, but I forgot to put an item on this agenda. So it involves property acquisition right here. I'm going to see if that property acquisition has any bearing on them handling the estate. If it doesn't, we'll do it next month. If it does, I may schedule something for a quick Zoom call on Wednesday for it to take 5-10 minutes. But stay tuned, I'll send an email. That's all I've got.
Okay, motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll move to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.